When I think of it from another point of view, is it any different to what a letting agent is doing? Because let's face it, if it wasn't a block of apartments being run on service accommodation and it was a single let, I'd have to give that level of control over to a letting agent. So if it's a single let property, 2-bedroom terraced house, and let's just say the property was in a different location, let's say County Durham, I'd then have to give that property to a letting agent. They'd have to collect the rent and then pay me at the end of the month. So is it any different to that? Hi guys, it's Arsh, and in today's video I'm going to be asking myself the question, should I do a JV partnership, a joint venture partnership, or should I go alone? Now the reason this video is being created is because I've got a block of apartments in different parts of the country, and someone has approached me and said, well Arsh, shall we do a joint venture? Shall we run it together, and should we do a split on the profits? Or should I continue to run it alone? And yes, there's time and effort involved, but more profit at the end of it. And it'd be really interesting to get your comments. So if you could, please leave comments in the comment section below. Before we do that, I need a small favor from you. If you wouldn't mind, press the like button, the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. I should mention that this channel is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which you can find at either www.propertyinvestorapp.co.uk, or you can go to the App Store and type in Property Investor and download the app from there. So, as I said at the start, I own a couple of blocks of apartments across the country. We currently run them as service accommodation, and we're currently, let's say, a little thin on the ground for staff. So I was approached, I'll put it out in a couple of groups saying, guys, who's running service apartments in these locations? Would you like to have a chat? And a few people came to me, and I thought, do I give these out on a rent-to-rent basis? Do I give them to someone on a long-term let and forget about them? Or do I potentially just run them myself, go through the recruitment process, go through the staffing process and run them, knowing that I'm going to make larger cash flow, but know that I'm going to have to be a little bit more hands-on? So what would you do in this scenario? If you've got a scenario now where someone approaches you and says, I'll come and do all the, let's say, the hands-on stuff for you. So I'll look after all the bookings, I'll do the guest check-ins, check-outs, but I want a percentage of the profits, and it'll be an equal percentage of the profits after the costs are deducted. Would you do that? Or would you decide to recruit, and the recruitment could be either people from the UK, could be people from abroad, where you could run it with virtual assistants. And I know lots of companies that are very successful with running service accommodation from virtual assistants. Would you go down the road of recruiting? Would you go down the road of training them up, knowing that you're going to make mass cash flow? So it's not an easy decision. When I say it's not an easy decision, for me especially, because one of the biggest things that I perhaps lack as a business owner is letting go. Now, if you're a business owner and someone says, well, I'll take over the whole control of it, but I want 50% of the proceeds, as well as that I want full control of the operation, that could make some of you nervous. So the reason why I'm doing this video is because lots of people I know in the property industry do joint ventures. So a joint venture is where two people come together, and it could be that one person brings the property to the table, could be that another person brings the money to the table, it could be that someone brings the skill to the table, whatever it may be. So one person has the property and the money, the other person has the skill set, and together they put them together and then they form a joint venture partnership. Now what makes me a little bit nervous about my scenario is the fact that the level of control where I probably won't see any of the income. So in my current situation, all the income is coming into my account. I can account for it. I can see what's going in, what's going out. Now, in the joint venture which has been proposed, it would all now go into the new joint venture partner's account, and then I would only get that payment or accountability towards the end of the month. So I wouldn't know who's going in, who's going out. So I suppose from that point of view, that's the biggest control issue that I have right now. When I think of it from another point of view, is it any different to what a letting agent is doing? Because let's face it, if it wasn't a block of apartments being run on service accommodation and it was a single let, I'd have to give that level of control over to a letting agent. So if it's a single let property, 2-bedroom terraced house, and let's just say the property was in a different location, let's say County Durham, I'd then have to give that property to a letting agent. They'd have to collect the rent and then pay me at the end of the month. So is it any different to that? The only difference is obviously this is an individual that I'm not fully familiar with yet. I'm still doing my checks. I'm still doing checks on them as a person, doing checks on them as a business, and making sure, you know, are they viable? Are they credible? More importantly, are they liquid, shall we say? Have they got the funds? Have they got any collateral? Have they got any assets in the background? So as a joint venture, if you're looking to get into a joint venture, I strongly suggest you don't just jump into bed with them straight away. What I strongly suggest is that you take some time, understand who the person is, understand how long they've been in the business, understand what have they got in the background, how many other properties are they running, how many other properties have they got, do they own these properties, are they on a rent-to-rent basis, what's their income, what's their liabilities, can we share that in terms of something like a Experian credit report? Could it be that we ask to see some kind of liquidity? Do they own the properties? Are there mortgages on these properties? And only then can you make an assessment. Now, I'm doing my assessments on this person and this company at the moment, so I'm not sure which way I'm going to go. You know, I've got two very viable. I don't need the person and their skill set because I know that I can recruit and we can run it ourselves, as we have done with our other portfolio for the last 20 odd years. What makes it attractive is the fact that I'm no longer involved in the day-to-day running, but also, as I said from the start, this presents me with a issue with when it comes to control. So that's my biggest, you know, I'm a bit of a control freak, if you want to call it that. So what would you do? Put it in the comments below. More importantly, we hear lots of good joint venture partnerships. And what probably makes me also nervous about this would be my first joint venture partnership. So, you know, in 20 odd years that I've been involved in property, I've not needed anyone to come and help with properties. I've always built for my own portfolio. I've built a letting agency to do that. So, you know, I've always had that level of control. More importantly, could this be the way forward? Could it be hands-free for me? We always hear of all the good things that go well in joint ventures, but equally we also hear lots of bad things that go in joint ventures. So joint venture partners taking each other to court, the operation hasn't gone well. So with joint venture you have to share the risk as well as share the reward, and so you need to ask, what is this person bringing to the table? Are they bringing any capital to the table? Are they just bringing their skill set? And that's why the due diligence process is really important. So it's just a short and sharp video, probably me just mind dumping as well a little bit on this video. So put in the comments below, what would you do? Would you go with the joint venture partner? But if you already own the property, if you're already running it, it's already set up and someone's proposing that they come and take the property and run it on a hands-free basis, would you be attracted to that? Or would you continue to run it yourself and make the larger gains in terms of cash flow, but appreciate that there's going to be a bit of hands-on approach with that? But hopefully if you can get the people trained up, then on the basis that should just run as any other business that we run. So it'd be interesting to get your thoughts on that. So as I said, guys, I'm always releasing new content out there. Please feel free to go and check out a podcast. It's called The Property Rebel. We release a new episode every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Go check it out. We've got it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. That's just some of the channels that it's on. As well as that, you want to connect with me on social media, find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all under the handle of Arsh. And as I said at the start, this channel is sponsored by the Property Investor app. It's the UK's first property investment platform. If you're looking for below market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals, service accommodation deals, we've got them all on there. Go and check them out. So you can either go to our website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or you can go to the App Store if you've got a smartphone, type in Property Investor and download it. It'll take you 2 minutes to download and register, and you'll see all these deals in the palm of your hand. As I've said multiple times, if you can, help me out with this little conundrum that I've got, and let's see what you think from there. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.